Shelby here. Welcome back to A Little Literary Love. Glad you all are with me today. Today's video is going to be my November end of the month wrap up. We're going to be talking about all the books that I read in the latter half of November. Before we get into it, I do want to ask, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel if you like my content. I really appreciate it. And then another thing, I am filming this very early in the morning, so all I have is like my overhead light on right now, so the lighting's probably a little bit off from my normal videos where I have like the sunlight through my window and everything. So the latter half of November I read 8 books. Most of the books were kind of meh. I haven't been hitting like a very good streak with my reading lately, but I'm trying. We'll see. And now that it's finally December, I'm trying to prioritize books that I've been wanting to finish or series that I need to finish before the end of the year. So I'm working on that. So we're gonna get right into it. The first book that I read in the latter half of November is gonna be Desire in His Blood. This is a first book in a series. This is a recent release. This is by Zoey Draven. So this is like a sci-fi romance, but it also kind of has some like paranormal type aspects to it too. But this is like aliens. This is about this woman, and her father has acquired a lot of debts, and she is trying to keep their family afloat and to pay off their debts. So there is a potential suitor that comes and is like, I will pay off your family's debts if you marry me. And this guy, he is from Kylor, I think is how you say that. And they're like an alien race, and they're kind of like vampires. They like suck people's like blood for like sustenance. So she's kind of worried about this because they are known to be very like brutal. But she goes ahead and marries him just because she needs to pay off all of her father's debts. Unknowingly she does this. Well, unknowingly she marries him, and he is wanting to marry her because he wants revenge against her father, because his family and her father were in this like war like a really long time ago, and her father like killed one of his family members, and he is wanting revenge for that. But they find out that they are fated mates, so he's like, shit. They're kind of like messes up with his plans for revenge and for like hurting her and all that stuff. I gave this 3.5 stars. I like the premise of this. I didn't enjoy this as much as her like Horde King series. I've been reading that. It just didn't have the same like bang to it, or like memorability to it. I also thought like the development of their love story just felt a little off. Like some of the pacing was a little bit off, and I honestly I was like really into it from the beginning with like the sexual tension between our two characters, and then once they finally kind of like start to get together, then it just kind of got really boring, and the romance just kind of fell flat after that. Otherwise the steam on this was pretty high. It's not a bad book. I may read the next one whenever that comes out. Like I said, this is a new release, so I don't know. I don't think she's announced yet when another book of this series is going to come out. Then I read Father of the Bride, by Chloe Maine. This is a short little, I don't know if it's maybe a novella, or like just a short novel. It's almost novella length. It's pretty short. This is about this girl, and she is the maid of honor for her best friend's wedding, which is going to be taking place in Las Vegas. She gets there a little bit early, and everybody else's flight is delayed, and she gets there the same time as the father of the bride, whom she has a crush on, and he also kind of has a crush on her, but they are like this, you know, he can't act on this. And then they end up having some sexy times in Las Vegas while during his daughter's wedding. There's not really a ton much more to it. This was fun. It was very steamy. I gave this 3 stars. There just wasn't a whole lot of other like substance to it. I did find it a little bit annoying because it was very insta-love. I didn't necessarily feel that like love story, like the development of it. But yeah. Then I read Birching His Bride, which is the first book in the Domestic Discipline series by Golden Angel. This is a historical romance. This is a like BDSM historical romance. This is about our hero, and he has had a thing for his best friend's sister, younger sister, since he witnessed her get punished by her father, and it just like aroused him and made him realize that he might kind of like BDSM stuff. And so she's like at the age where it's time for her to get married. Her father doesn't think anybody that her father thinks that she's either going to sleep with somebody or like do something to get herself ruined, or that nobody's going to want to marry her. So he asked our hero of the story if he would want to marry her, and he's like, yep, totally do. And then our heroine, she is she's a bit of a naive character, kind of self-centered. She wants to just do her own thing, doesn't really care about the consequences. So she has a lot of things like learning that she has to do in this book. I gave this 3 stars. This wasn't bad. The steam on this is pretty high, and I did like the interactions between our hero and our heroine. But there were some things in it that just was a little off-putting, especially the scene where the father is punishing the daughter. It just felt very wrong. Like he like stripped her down naked, like, and like was punishing her with like a birch, like a switch basically. It's like spanking her for being bad, and he like hits like her lady bits too. It just, I don't know, it was weird, and I didn't care for that bit of it. So moving on. Then I read Egotistical Puckboy, which is the first book in the Puckboy series by Eden Finley and Saxon James. This is a male-male romance, and this is also a sports romance. This is about these 2 characters. They are rivals in like the hockey world. They don't really get along. One of our characters is known as a puck boy. He sleeps around with a lot of different people. He's very open about his sexuality and that he is gay. And then our other character is very more sort of closeted. Like he came out to his family, and his family knows, and like his friends and his close people, but like not the like his fans or any of that, because he wants to keep all of that private. And they run into each other, and like I said, they don't like each other, and they decide to bang it out because they realize that they're actually attracted to each other. Well, then they are on rival hockey teams, and one of them actually gets traded, so now they are on the same hockey team, and now they have to learn to work together and get along. I think this is a cute little story. I gave this 3.5 stars. Again, nothing like super like out there memorable. It was pretty steamy. I had a fun time reading this, so I may read the next book in the series. I'm not really sure how I'm feeling with it. And then I read Girls Weekend by CM Nascosta. I always butcher her name, I feel like. But this is basically a book kind of like what the name says. There's these women, I believe they are all elves if I can remember correctly, and they're just wanting to have a fun girls weekend, and they decide to go to this place that's like there's like orcs and stuff around, and like everybody gets naked. So I don't know what you call that, but they decided to go to that place and get some hot orc sex. I gave this 2 stars. I was very disappointed by this. Honestly, I'm probably done with this author. I have not been impressed by her books. This, I feel like, it was a very good premise and it was a very good idea. It was just poorly executed. I didn't really like there are multiple perspectives from all of the friends, and it was just very hard to keep up with them, especially because it was in, I think, third person perspective, like it wasn't first person. It was just hard to follow with that. And then because of that, because we're not focusing on like one person and like a couple, or like one person and her foray, I feel like there just wasn't, like, all of the characters felt very flat. All of the storyline felt very flat. There just wasn't enough development to it. I mean, the steam on this was okay. I just, like I said, I was very disappointed by this. Did not really care for it. I'm probably done with this author. Then I read Guardian, which is the first book of the Prison Planet series by Emmy Chandler. This is a sci-fi romance. This is about our heroine, and she is committed for a crime and she gets sent to a prison planet. So that's kind of where our like world is at. So when she gets sent there is like a women's area, like camp kind of area, and then a men's area. And whenever there's new prisoners that come, there are some women that get sacrificed to the men's camp so that the men don't come and raid the women's camp. So she is one of the people that gets sacrificed to the men's camp. So when she gets to the men's camp, she is told that she has to pick a person, and they are going to be with that guy for 4 weeks. And they have to rely on that guy to protect them, and feed them and clothe them and all that kind of jazz. Unless like that guy gets challenged and somebody else like takes them. So she has to pick somebody, and she decides to pick this guy that's kind of like a loner. Everybody kind of stays away from him. He doesn't look very appealing. He's kind of scary. So she picks that guy. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. This was very like action packed. This was more on like the darker romance kind of scale, because there are some like trigger warnings for like attempted sexual assault. There's assault, murder that happens. They're trying to get away from this like shitty situation, and deal with what is going on. Steam on this was medium high, somewhere around there, but I did really enjoy this one, and I do plan on continuing this series. Then I read Heavy Crown, which is the last book of the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. I've been meaning to read this for forever. I've been trying to finish this series this whole year, and I just keep putting these books off. This is about Sebastian. He is the youngest son of the Italian mob. And he meets Yelena, I think is how you say her name. She is the daughter of the Russian Bratva that is in Chicago, and the Russians and the Italians are enemies. So he meets her and he falls in love with her and wants to date her and wants to marry her. And there's a lot of things that happen in this book. A lot of things I don't really want to necessarily say because I don't want to like give stuff away. But the whole Heavy Crown thing, it ends up becoming like Sebastian's kind of duty almost to take over the family business and like mob business, and just kind of the repercussions and the weight of everything that comes along with that, all the decisions that he has to make, and the consequences of those decisions. So this is a pretty heavy book. It is more action packed Then some of the other books of the series I did really like. Oh, I gave this 4 stars, by the way. I did really like that there was a little bit more of that mafia aspect to it than some of the other books of the series. However, I didn't really care for the romance part of it. I felt very light. Like Sebastian and Elena, they meet and then they're like getting married within like a couple months. And there's a lot of things like dates and stuff that we skip over. So their whole development of their love story just felt a little flat and it felt a little rushed to me. But overall, I did really enjoy this, and at some point I will be continuing on to the Kingmaker series, which is kind of like a sequel series from the Brutal Birthright series. It is about the children of our characters in the Brutal Birthright series will take place in the Kingmaker series. So we'll be getting to that at some point. Then the last book that I read for the month of November is going to be Menace by JM Darhower. This is the first book in, I don't know if this is a series or a duet, but it's the first book. Just going into it, just forewarning, there is a cliffhanger at the end of this, so obviously I'm continuing on to the next series, to the next book. But this is basically about, we have 2 characters. We have our hero, and he has like this big scar on his face. He is like this scary dude, and he's kind of like, this is a mafia-esque story, but not really. His family was murdered by the mafia, and so he just wants revenge against mafia and bad guys, and he goes out and he like kills them. And then we have our heroine, who is, she has some mystery going on. She is a stripper. She's working as a stripper, and she pickpockets. She doesn't have a lot of money. And then she is working with the police on something. And so you're trying to kind of throughout the story figure out what is going on with her, what's this whole background for her. So how our 2 characters meet, which I did like, they're like meet cute, I guess. She bumps into him when he is walking out of this building, and then he realizes that she pickpocketed him, and he is like pissed off about this. So he tracks her down, gets back his wallet, and then she like stole his money and said that you're gonna pay me back with interest. So then like she pays him back the money, but then he's like, oh no, it's been a day, so your interest has been charged, so you actually owe me a lot more than that. So it was a funny interaction, and I did like how they met each other, and then they like, he kind of becomes a little bit intrigued by her and her backstory and wanting to know. So there's a lot going on with that. But like I said, it does end on a cliffhanger. The story does not get wrapped up in this series, in this book. So I'm continuing on, but I did give this 4 stars because I did really enjoy it so far, and we'll see how things go in the next one. But otherwise, that is going to be all the books that I have read in the latter half of November. We'll see what all books I get to you in December. If you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Like I said before at the beginning of this video, subscribe if you haven't already. If you like my content and want to see more videos from me, I really appreciate it. Otherwise, I will see y'all in the next one. Bye guys.